Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about how to factor perfect squares. And what I mean by a perfect square is something like 4. 4 is a perfect square because it's the area of a square whose length of the sides is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. The same number multiplied by itself equals something. X squared is a perfect square because it's the area of a square whose side lengths are x times x. Area is length times width, x times x will be x squared. And so, perfect squares might not be so easy to identify, which is why I don't think that memorizing the process for finding the answer to perfect square questions is all that useful, because you can do them without realizing they're perfect squares and get them done correctly, and then you don't have to remember anything. So that's the way I'm going to show you. So for example, we have x squared plus 8x plus 16. I'm not going to go into how to identify whether or not it's a perfect square, because you don't have to remember how to do that. So I have a video on how to factor trinomials, and it's a very, very similar method when you're factoring perfect squares. So the first thing I'm going to do is say P equals and S equals. P stands for product, which means multiply. S stands for sum, which means add. So I look at the coefficient on x squared. It's just going to be 1 in this question, and I look at just the number, and I multiply them. 1 times 16 would be 16. Positive 16, the signs really matter. And then the sum is just the coefficient on the x term, so just be positive 8. I would think, what two numbers multiply to give 16 and add to give 8? How about positive 4 and positive 4? That works. So, isn't 8x the same as 4x plus 4x? Yeah, so when I'm really just splitting the 8x apart into two separate pieces. The 16 doesn't change and the x squared doesn't change. I'm not going to keep writing the coefficient just because if you don't see a coefficient written, just assume that it's equal to 1. So, next I'm going to look at the first two terms and say, what do they have in common? Well, they both have x's in them, so let's factor out an x. When we divide x squared by x, we're just left with x. When we divide 4x by x, we're left with 4. Do the same thing for these. They both have in common they're divisible by 4. 4x divided by 4 would be x. Positive 16 divided by positive 4 would be 4. So we look at our brackets, x plus 4, x plus 4, they're the same. So far we haven't done anything different than regular trinomials. So they both have an x plus 4 in common, so let's factor that out. When I get rid of the x plus 4, factor it out, we're just left with x. When I factor out the x plus 4 here, we're just left with 4. So instead of leaving our answer like that, we are going to notice that what we have written in the brackets is exactly the same thing. So instead of saying x plus 4 times x plus 4, I'm just going to say x plus 4 squared. And that's it. This is the only step that is different than had it just been a trinomial, which is why I really like this method. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!